You think strong people feel less pain. That is completely wrong. Strong people actually feel everything deeply. They just learned one secret skill, a skill nobody taught you in school. Nobody mentioned it at home either. Today, I am handing it to you. 5 invisible habits that make you untouchable. And number 4 will genuinely shock you because it goes against everything you believe. Most people chase thick skin their whole lives. They think armor protects them from pain. But armor is heavy and exhausting to carry. What if protection came from something lighter? Stay with me, and I will show you. Let me describe your life right now. Someone said something cruel to you recently. Maybe it was last week or yesterday, and you are still thinking about it. It's playing on a loop inside you. You hear the words when you wake up. You hear them when you try to sleep. You rehearse what you should have said back. The perfect comeback always arrives too late. And that makes it sting even worse. Meanwhile, the person who said it forgot already. They're eating dinner and laughing right now. They're sleeping peacefully tonight without a thought, while you carry their words like heavy stones. Doesn't that make you a little bit angry? You gave them free rent in your mind. They didn't even ask for the keys. You just handed your peace away for free. And this is not the first time either. You've been doing this for years probably. Different people, but the exact same pattern repeats. Someone hurts you, and you absorb all of it. You swallow the poison meant for a moment, and you let it last for months instead. But what if today, that pattern finally dies? Habit number 1 changes the game immediately. Stop reacting and start responding instead. Those 2 words sound similar, but they're not. A reaction is instant, emotional, and usually reckless. A response is chosen, intentional, and powerful. Here's the difference in real life, though. Someone insults you in front of your friends. The reaction is to explode, yell, or cry. The response is to pause and breathe first. In that tiny pause, your power comes alive. Most people never find that pause at all because they've trained themselves to be fast. Fast to defend, fast to attack, fast to crumble. Speed is the enemy of emotional intelligence here. When you slow down, you see more clearly. You see that their words are about them. You see that your reaction feeds their hunger. You see that silence can be devastating power. Not cold silence, but chosen, grounded silence. Try this the very next time it happens. Someone says something designed to wound you deeply. Instead of firing back, just take one breath. Ask yourself, what do they actually want here? They want your pain because it makes them feel something. When you refuse to give it to them, everything shifts. You become the most powerful person in the room. But habit 2 goes even deeper than this. Habit number 2 is where the real healing starts. Trace the pain back to where it began. Because here's a truth that changes everything. The thing that hurt you today is not new. It's an old wound wearing a new mask. Someone calls you stupid and you feel destroyed. But the destruction is not from their words alone. It's from every time you felt not enough. Every teacher who made you feel small inside. Every parent who compared you to someone better. Every moment you believed you were less than. Those old moments created a bruise inside you. And now every small tap hits that bruise. This is why the same type of person hurts you. Different face, but the exact same wound activated. You're not unlucky in love or friendships. You're just carrying an untreated wound everywhere. So how do you actually trace the wound back? Next time you feel that sharp emotional sting, stop and ask, when was the first time? When did I first feel this exact feeling? Usually, a memory will surface almost immediately after. That memory is the root of everything today. You don't have to fix it right now. Just seeing it honestly already starts the healing. And habit 3 will show you what to do next. Habit number 3 feels uncomfortable, but it's freedom. Separate their story from your story completely. When someone hurts you, a strange thing happens inside. You start writing yourself into their story as the villain, or worse, you write yourself as the reason. They left, so something must be wrong with me. They were cruel, so I must deserve cruelty.
But here is what nobody ever tells you about people. Everyone around you is fighting their own invisible war. The person who hurt you was already hurting before they ever showed up. They were reigning long before you ever showed up. You just happened to stand outside without an umbrella. Their cruelty was never a review of your worth. It was a confession of their own deep pain. Control is almost always rooted in somebody's deep fear. Coldness is almost always a wall from old burns. Cruelty is almost always a scream nobody ever heard. This does not mean you excuse their bad behavior. This does not mean you stay near toxic people. It means you stop carrying what was never yours. You stop asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You stop replaying every moment searching for your fault. You stop apologizing for existing near people who are broken. Their storm belongs to them, and you can walk away. You can let it go and travel so much lighter. Not for their sake, but entirely for your own. Now, habit 4 is the one I warned you about. Habit 4 goes against almost everything you currently believe. Stop needing their apology to feel okay inside yourself. I know that sounds deeply unfair and maybe even wrong. They hurt you, so they should say sorry, right? They should acknowledge exactly what they did to you. They should feel bad and somehow make it right. And yes, in a perfect world, they absolutely should. But you do not live in a perfect world. You live where people almost never willingly apologize ever, where people double down instead of honestly owning up. So what actually happens when you wait for that apology? You stay frozen inside a moment that already passed. You give the person who hurt you ongoing power. You make them your prison guard without even realizing it. Every single day you wait is a day lost, not because forgiveness means what they did was right, but because holding on keeps your wound bleeding fresh always. Letting go is not saying what they did was okay. Letting go is saying, I refuse to carry this anymore. It's the most selfish and necessary thing possible. Forgiveness is not a gift you hand to them. It's a gift you finally give to yourself. You stop needing them to understand your pain anymore. You stop needing them to validate what actually happened. You stop needing anything at all from them ever. The moment you stop needing, you finally become free. Habit 5 will lock all of this permanently in place. Habit 5 is the foundation underneath absolutely everything else. Build your sense of worth entirely from the inside out. Most people build their value only from external sources. They feel good the moment someone compliments them today. They feel terrible the moment someone criticizes them tomorrow morning. They feel worthy when chosen and destroyed when rejected, always. This means their entire identity is completely outsourced to others. Strangers control how they feel about themselves every single day. That's not confidence. That's just emotional roulette, honestly. Real worth is built alone in the quietest moments only. It's built every time you keep your own promises. It's built every time you show up for yourself. When nobody is watching and nobody is clapping for you. When you know your value deep inside your bones fully, no compliment can ever lift you dangerously too high anymore. No insult can ever drag you dangerously too low again. You become as steady as a mountain standing in wind. People will sense this immediately without you saying anything at all. They will feel that you simply cannot be shaken easily, and the ones who used to hurt you will stop. Not because they changed, but because you completely did instead. You became someone the entire world could not push around. And it all started with 5 simple, invisible habits today. Now here is exactly where most people completely fail though. They hear all 5 habits and enthusiastically nod their heads.
They say yes, that honestly makes so much sense now. They feel something genuinely shift inside for one brief moment, and then tomorrow arrives and absolutely nothing actually changes at all. The same person says something and they react all over again. Same wound, same pattern, same exhausting cycle on endless repeat. Because knowing something is never the same as actually doing it. So I'm giving you one simple single challenge today. Pick just one habit from the 5 I just shared. Just one, not all 5. Only one this entire week. Practice that one habit every single day for 7 days. Watch what happens to the way you feel inside yourself. Watch how differently the world lands on you this week. This is your moment right now, so don't waste it. If something in this video clicked deep inside your head, subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here together. We turn invisible wounds into visible strength every single week. This channel exists for people who are done being small, done being controlled by other people's words and careless actions. Now drop a comment below and tell me this one thing. What is the one wound you've been quietly carrying? The one that keeps getting hit over and over again? You don't have to share details, just simply name it. Abandonment, rejection, betrayal, not enough, or maybe something entirely else. Name it, because naming it is always the very first step. And if someone you deeply love needs to hear this today, send this video to them right now, without waiting at all. You have no idea what they are silently carrying inside. This might be exactly what finally helps them breathe freely again.
If you think being this close to a hidden knowledge is fear, wait until you hear the secret. Because knowing 5 habits is only half the work. The other half lives in how you see yourself. Most people have never truly looked at themselves honestly. They look at others constantly, but never turn inward. They analyze everyone around them with incredible sharp precision, but when it comes to themselves, they go completely blind. And that blindness is exactly what keeps them stuck forever. So today, I want to ask you something direct. When did you first learn that you were not enough? Because somebody taught you that at some point in life. It was not something you were born naturally believing inside. You arrived in this world knowing only your own hunger, your own warmth, your own need, your own simple joy. Nobody is born feeling worthless. That part gets learned later. It gets learned in small moments that pile up quietly. A look that lingered just a little too long once. A laugh that came at exactly the wrong moment always. A silence when you needed someone to say good job. A hand that never reached back when you reached out. These moments alone do not break a person completely open, but they stack on top of each other year after year, and slowly they build a story you start believing deeply. The story says you are too much or not enough. The story says people always leave, so do not get close. The story says showing emotion makes you weak and pathetic. The story says asking for help means you have failed somehow. And you've been living inside that story ever since, making decisions from that story every single day without realizing, choosing people who confirm that story because it feels familiar. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace somehow to us. Read that again because it will explain so much of your life. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace to most people. You choose the person who pulls away because abandonment feels known. You choose the friend who criticizes because judgment feels like home now. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you recognize it deeply. Because your nervous system learned to call that feeling normal early. And anything that feels different triggers alarm bells inside you automatically. This is not weakness, this is just how humans are wired. But here's the good news, and it's genuinely good. Wiring can be changed when you become aware of it. The brain is not fixed, it's constantly being rewritten daily.
Every new choice you make rewrites a little of the code. Every boundary you set sends a new message to yourself internally. Every time you walk away from what no longer serves you, every time you choose your own peace over someone's approval instead, you are literally rewriting the story you've been living inside. One small decision at a time, one quiet moment at a time. This is not poetic, this is actual neuroscience working for you. So let's talk about the story you're currently telling. Not the one about other people and what they did, the one you tell about yourself when nobody else is listening. The one that plays quietly at 3 in the morning always. The one that whispers you are behind everyone else somehow. That whispers you should be further along by now always. That whispers something is fundamentally and permanently wrong with you specifically. That voice is not the truth. It's just old programming. It's the voice of every person who ever doubted you, and you accidentally made it your own internal narrator over time. Here's a practice that will begin to change that voice. Every single morning, before you check your phone, do this one thing. Ask yourself, what is one thing I actually did well recently? Not something perfect, not something impressive, just something genuinely honest and real. Maybe you listened when someone needed an ear that one day. Maybe you kept going when everything inside told you to stop. Maybe you told the truth when a lie would have been easier. Maybe you simply got out of bed when that felt impossible. These small things matter more than you have ever been told, because they're proof that you are already more than enough. The world will never hand you your own worth on a plate. No achievement will ever finally make you feel fully complete inside. No relationship will ever fill the hole that only you can fill. No compliment will ever land deeply enough if you don't believe it. Worth has to be built from the inside first, before anything else. And it's built through the most unglamorous, ordinary daily actions possible. Keeping the promise you made to yourself when no one was watching. Saying no when every part of you wanted to say yes instead. Choosing rest without guilt when your body was clearly begging for it. Choosing honesty over comfort, even when comfort felt so much easier always. These are the bricks that build unshakable self-worth over time. Not therapy, not quotes, not motivation, not someone finally choosing you back. You choosing yourself over and over in the small, invisible moments daily. That's the work, and it's the only work that lasts. Now, let's talk about the people in your life currently. Because your healing doesn't happen in isolation from other human beings. It happens in relationship with them, in friction with them, daily. The people around you are your greatest teachers, whether you like it or not. Every person who irritates you is showing you something unhealed inside yourself. Every person who intimidates you is revealing a belief you still hold. This does not mean they're right and you are wrong. It means they're triggering something that was already there waiting inside. And instead of blaming them for the trigger, you get curious now. You ask, what does this person bring up inside me specifically? What old feeling is suddenly alive and demanding attention right now, today? What part of me is still waiting to be seen and heard? When you ask those questions, everything around you starts to shift slowly. People stop having power over you because you understand what they activate. And understanding something takes away almost all of its power over you always. This is the real secret that nobody tells you about emotional freedom.
Emotional freedom is not the absence of feeling anything at all. It is the ability to feel without being completely consumed by it. It is standing in the fire without letting the fire define you.
It is crying without deciding that the crying means you are broken. It is feeling angry without handing that anger a weapon to use. It is feeling rejected without concluding that you deserved rejection all along. The feeling comes and you let it move completely through you, like weather passing through an open window without staying permanently inside. You do not fight it, you do not feed it either. You simply witness it, and then you consciously choose what comes next. This is what the untouchable people actually do differently from others. They are not numb, they are not cold, they are not robots. They have simply learned to be the observer of their own experience. They watch the emotion rise the way you watch a wave approaching, and they know the wave will always pass if they do not panic. Panic is what turns a wave into a flood every single time. Staying calm is what lets the wave come and quietly go again. And the more you practice this, the faster the waves pass through. What used to devastate you for days starts lasting only hours instead. What used to last hours starts lasting only minutes, then seconds, then nothing. This is not an overnight transformation, and I will not pretend otherwise. This is a daily practice that compounds quietly over weeks and months. Some days you'll nail it and feel completely invincible and free. Other days, someone will say one thing and you will completely fall apart. And that's completely okay, because falling apart is part of the process. The goal is not perfection. The goal is honest, consistent, gentle progress always. One more moment of pause than you had the week before today. One less hour spent replaying what you should have said back then. One fewer apology given to someone who never deserved it from you. That's what progress actually looks like, and it's enough, always. Now, I want to talk about something most people completely avoid always. The relationships you keep that are slowly draining everything out of you. Not the obviously toxic ones. Those are usually easier to identify and see. The subtle ones that leave you feeling slightly less each time. The friend who always needs everything but disappears when you need something. The family member who loves you but can't stop making you feel small. The partner who says the right things but makes you feel consistently unseen. These relationships are harder because they contain real, genuine love alongside the pain. And love makes everything more complicated and more difficult to walk away from. But here's something important I need you to sit with today. Loving someone does not mean you are required to shrink for them. Caring about someone does not mean absorbing their damage without any limit. You can love someone fully and still protect your own peace fiercely. You can want the best for someone and still choose to step back. These two things are not contradictions. They can absolutely coexist together peacefully. Setting a boundary is not an act of cruelty toward another person. It is an act of profound honesty toward yourself and toward them. It says, I care about this relationship enough to tell you the truth. It says, I value us enough to stop pretending everything is perfectly fine. That takes more courage than staying silent and slowly disappearing into resentment. The people worth keeping in your life will respect that honesty always. They may not like the boundary at first, and that's completely okay. Real connection can survive honest conversation even when that conversation is deeply uncomfortable. What it cannot survive is one person constantly shrinking to keep the peace. Because peace that requires your silence is not actually peace at all, ever. It's just postponed conflict wrapped in a very thin layer of calm. And you deserve actual peace, not the performance of it for others. Now, let's bring everything together into one clear and simple picture today. You came into this video carrying something heavy that was not fully yours. You were carrying other people's words like they were permanent truths about you. You were carrying old wounds like they were fresh injuries happening right now. You were carrying patterns that belonged to people who hurt you long ago. You were waiting for apologies that may honestly never arrive in your lifetime. You were building your worth on foundations that other people could pull away. And none of that was your fault, because nobody ever taught you differently. Nobody sat you down and said, here's how your mind actually works. Here's why the same pain keeps finding you in different faces always. Here's how to stop absorbing what was never meant to be yours. Here's how to build something inside that nobody can ever take away. Nobody told you that, so you figured out survival the only way possible. You did the best you could with what you actually had available. And the fact that you are here right now says everything important about you. It says you're not done growing, even when the growing feels painful. It says you believe something better is possible, even when the evidence is thin. It says you're the kind of person who chooses awareness over comfortable numbness. That's not a small thing. That's actually everything that matters most. So, here's what I want you to carry forward from today. You are not too sensitive. You were just never properly protected before now. You are not too emotional. You were just never shown a better way. You are not broken. You are someone who is finally starting to heal. And healing doesn't look like never feeling pain ever again in life. Healing looks like feeling pain and knowing it won't destroy you this time. Healing looks like someone saying something cruel and your worth remaining completely intact. Healing looks like being rejected and not writing a story about your value. Healing looks like sitting with discomfort without running immediately toward something to numb it. Healing looks like choosing yourself quietly in the moments when nobody's watching you. Healing looks like knowing the difference between what's yours and what's theirs. Healing looks like you standing in your own life fully without apologizing for it. That version of you already exists, and it's closer than you currently think. So, take one habit from today and begin it right now. This moment, not tomorrow, not next week, not when life gets slightly easier to manage. Right now, in this exact moment, with whatever you currently have available today. The pause before reacting, the question about the wound, the boundary kindly set, the forgiveness given to yourself, the worth built quietly from the inside out. Pick one and begin. Because beginning is always the hardest and most important part. Nobody can hurt you the same way once you understand what they're touching. Nobody can break you the same way once you have healed what was broken. The world did not change, you did, and that changes absolutely everything forever.